Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dada's Show, coming to you from the newly refurbished Manzoni 680 Hotel here in Nairobi's CBD. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as our name suggests, the Dada Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity amongst Kenyan women. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss issues pertaining to their health and lifestyle, their work and family, and anything that affects them in one way or another. We also take a moment to celebrate and acknowledge formidable ladies who are doing it big, not only for themselves, but for their communities at large. Many say that being a pastor's wife is more than just a title. It's a calling on its own. While pastors get to stand on the pulpit and lead their congregations, pastors' wives often serve from the background, balancing faith, ministry, and their families. Like most of us, pastors' wives also have journeys filled with unique joys, challenges, and sacrifices that many of us may not be fully aware of. So today, we are joined by pastors' wives who are going to share their stories on how they navigate their roles, how they support their husbands while also raising their families, how they find their own place in ministry. And we hope that with these insights, we will have a deeper appreciation for the vital role that pastors' wives play, not only in their homes, but also in church. So if you are an aspiring pastor's wife, or you are just curious as to what kind of life the pastors' wives live, then this is definitely the episode for you. As always, remember to be in touch with us across all social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us on Facebook at Dadas Show KBC. You can also reach me personally at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. So before we get into today's very exhilarating conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
Being a pastor's spouse is one of the most challenging in the church. It comes with a lot of misconceptions and assumptions. The demands to be exemplary and always be by your husband's side can be immense due to the glare of the public. Hence, her devotion and commitment is always under scrutiny, and it can be psychologically and spiritually overwhelming. To get an in-depth perspective, we sat down with Monica Wanyoike, a pastor's wife at Deliverance Church, Donholm, who shared experiences.
We've been married, this is our 10th year, and we have 2 children, Atara, Malka, Kelvin, and Adriel Kelvin. Atara is a girl, Adriel is a boy, and we are pastors, lead pastors of Deliverance Church, Donholm. So our senior pastor is Bishop J.B. Masinde. So let's say we've been teens pastors, we were teens pastors from 2017. So I would say, yes, we've been pastors for 8 years, straight years. I actually knew from the start that he wanted to be a pastor when we were dating. And I actually did not like it from way before, because I'm a pastor's kid. So the last person I wanted to get married to was a pastor, actually. But here I am. So after we got married, I was still struggling with it a bit. Maybe let's say the first 1.5 years, I really struggled with it because I know what comes. Or rather, not really know what comes with it, but, you know, the things that you hear here and there. And I had seen how some pastors used to treat their wives, as in they would be married to the church. They literally, you look like you're by the side, and I didn't like it. So that's why I never wanted to be married to a pastor.
Besides being a pastor's wife, Monica serves in other ministries within the church.
I serve in the praise and worship, among other things. So I'm deeply involved in helping out in every way. Yeah, mostly I would say in the praise and worship a lot. So I'm not the, how will I call it? Laid back, the ones who just come on Sunday and that's it. I'm really involved in the prayers, in in a lot of activities in church. Yeah.
Being a pastor's wife automatically makes one a spiritual mother to the church. However, Monica considers herself as not a normal mom when she thinks of an instance where her biological children felt neglected.
It's more than just the mom thing, just saying mom, because people are thinking, okay, you're the pastor's wife, so you're being called mom. For some, you'd realize you've walked with them a journey. You'd find maybe, yes, their mothers have not been around and they find comfort in you. So literally, for them, they're not calling you mom because you're pastor's wife. They're calling you mom because you've related with them like that. They're saying, you helped me in this, you helped me in this, you helped me. So for them, it is even hard for them to call me pastor. That's what they say. The pastor cannot come out of their mouths because they feel truly, I am mom to them. And in this past week, I think it's when I've realized, I have concentrated on the others outside more than the kids. I would come and find they've already slept sometimes, or we've spent very little time.
Another overlooked challenge is spiritual warfare and counterattacks.
They're just things that would come your way. Let me give this example. So there's a time God directed us to come in, just be praying on the altar here. Yeah, so we used to come in and pray over here. So it was, which year was that? 2022? Mm-hmm. It was on 24th December. So we are here praying. You know, most of the time, most people have gone at that time. Most pastors are not around. So you'd find if there's a service, you're the ones who are here. So we come out of this place, then we go to the supermarket. Atara, she was fine. I mean, we did shopping and everything was just fine. And then we were coming out, she started to behave as if she wants to fall down. Her eyes are going, I don't know where. She's talking as if she's lost consciousness. Hey, we thought, oh, okay. So we carried her to the car. She was in bad shape. We were thinking, we just started praying. For us, I mean, anywhere you just babble out in tongues, because we know this is an attack because of what we were praying for.
The demands of ministry often lead to burnout.
We remind each other every time, hey, we need to go spend time with the kids, that they need to feel us more before they hear someone else call me mom. Because sometimes they've asked, why is so-and-so calling you mom? They're saying, is it? And, you know, but we've purposed to work on it.
For Dada's show, my name is Miriam Odanga.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, our conversation today is on faith, family, and ministry. Our conversation with pastors' wives. So join me as we welcome my wonderful panel of pastors' wives. And right next to me, I have Mrs. Jane Majid. Thank you so much, Jane, for joining us. Right next to her, we've got Mrs. Paris Samukat.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana Paris. And finally, we have Pauline Mwekali, aka Pauline Wamavo.
Asante. Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd also like to acknowledge my wonderful audience and you at home who take time week in, week out to sit with us as we share, as we learn, as we comfort each other through the discussions that we have. We truly, truly appreciate you. So let's get the ball rolling, and let's start off with you. And I'll ask all of you the same question. Kindly share with us a little bit about yourself and how you became a pastor's wife. Is this something that you had always wanted to do? Let's start off with you, Jane.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me in this show today. My name is Jane Majid, as you said. I've been married for, this will be our 20th year in marriage.
Oh, wow.
Been married for 20 years. So I've been a pastor's wife for 20 years.
For 20
this
years.
August.
Oh, wow.
And we thank God. I'm a born-again Christian.
Yes.
And we're blessed with 4 wonderful children. Mm-hmm. I never saw myself as though I'll one day get married to a pastor.
Yes.
That never crossed my mind. But as life went on, here I am, 20 years down the line,
20 years
a pastor's wife, and proudly so.
Oh, wow. That's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll dig deeper as to how you adjusted, because it's one thing when you sit and you say, you know what, we have all these aspirations as we are growing up, and you say, I'd like to be this, I'd like to be this. Most of us know I'd like to marry a very rich man, and then you find yourself where you are. So you have to adjust. So what about you, Paris? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and did you always want to be a pastor's wife?
Okay. I'm Paris. I'm a mother. I have been married for the last 14 years. Well, I really didn't, in my thinking, that I would get a pastor. I'll get married to a pastor. But I really loved a man who loves God. So my pursuit was a man who fears the Lord. So in line, as we were in church and all that, I just met this guy called Samukat. And, but along the way, he became a pastor. But when we began together, he was not a pastor. Yes. So, and beside that, Paris, I'm into construction. Yes, I run a company called Shafar Builders and Resources. Yes, as a person. Yes.
As a person, I like that as a person, there's so much more to you than just being a pastor's wife. I love it. So, Pauline Wamavo, were you always planning on this, or did you just find yourself there?
Yeah, so thank you, Ashiko, for having us here. So as you've heard, my name is Pauline Mwikali, but kwa mtandao wananiita Pauline Wamavo. I'm born again. I've always been in church, but maybe before that, I'm a counselor by profession.
Yes.
So my background is, I did a degree in international relations, but then I went on to counseling. So
Yes.
on a day-to-day basis, I do counseling, and I do a lot of psychoeducation. So you'll find me in schools, in churches, just training people on mental health. Other than that, I'm currently the co-director of Aptic Global, which is an organization under Baptist World Alliance.
Yes.
So that's what I do for a living. Yeah, I've always been in church. I loved church so much, always doing stuff in church. And when I was in campus, I had a feeling I would get married to someone who is fully involved in church.
Yes.
So when I graduated in 2009, in 2010 I got married. And in the year we were dating, Marvin became a pastor. The June of the year we got married.
Yes.
And so I kept feeling, because of all the gifts I have, preaching, teaching, and all counseling, it's so natural. So I felt like I needed to be in a church setting. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. And which, of course, leads me to my next question. So do you feel like you sound like you were called for this role? But if you look at someone like Paris, when they met, they were just two born-again Christians. I believe it's the same thing for you, Jane. When you met, was he in ministry?
Yeah, when we met, he was actually a leader of youth.
Yes.
He was leading the youth department in his church then. And I was working in the administration department of the church. So he was actually in ministry.
So he's been in ministry all along?
He's been in ministry all along.
So perhaps the question I should actually be asking is, Paris, how did you adjust? Because of course you're with somebody, you aspired to be with a man who loves God, and here you are, and now he wants to serve God, on a higher platform. How did you adjust to that? Is that something that caught you off guard? Is it something that you had been seeing the signs? How did you adjust now? Sasa, you've been flung into, let's call it the limelight. Yeah.
Well, the adjustment, I can say, has come over time. I didn't adjust fully at the first stages of our marriage. In fact, when we just got married, my husband was made a pastor, and a senior pastor on that matter in a church that we pastored for like 10 years. So it was not easy. We were newlyweds, and then here comes ministry. So and then I was so deep into career. I felt in my heart my role is just to support him in ministry in terms of prayer, because most of the time actually I was not on the scene. So I can just say that the adjustment has come over time. I have adjusted over time to who he had to be, and also the things that and the jurisdictions that are there in ministry and things that he has to handle in ministry. And also I have had to find myself over time how I can fit in and come and help him also in ministry. Sometimes we think we are very ready for it, but actually we are not ready, because there are many things that are involved in ministry. He's also adjusting, you know, just coming into ministry and being named as a senior pastor, and you're beginning to take up the roles of a senior pastor.
Immediately, of course. I mean, everything definitely does need an adjustment period. And I like what you've said, you know, over time. So if there's a pastor's wife who is also maybe struggling, if maybe the pastor has been moved to a different church or a different location, etc., over time, everything is going to work out. So speaking of support, Jane, you know, how do you and your husband, because both of you are very involved in the church, how do you maintain a strong and healthy marriage while you're serving in ministry?
Maintaining a strong marriage as pastors, first and foremost, I would want to mention that pastors are human beings like anybody else. Because sometimes people tend to look at pastors, you're up there, the issues that people go through, you don't go through, you're immune to them, which is a very wrong perception. So as pastors, we have to make sure that we are surrounded, we are not alone. You cannot do marriage alone. You have to have people who you're looking up to maintain a healthy marriage, even as pastors. Sometimes people say you can't have people maybe in your congregation that you can look up to. But the fact is, you have people who've been married maybe for fewer years than you, and you have people in your congregation who've been married for more years, longer than you have. And they don't have anywhere to be in your congregation. They can be out there. So for us, we have couple groups that we normally meet every now and then. And there we are candid with each other. We are very open with each other. We don't, we don't hide things.
You're not being the pastor's wife, prim and proper.
Actually, we don't even use the titles. When we're in that fellowship, we don't use titles. We call each other by your name, okay? And we are very candid in our discussions. So we know what so-and-so is going through, we know, and whatever we discuss remains there. Number two, it's always good to have, even as pastors, people who've been ahead of you, people who've gone ahead of you, leave alone now the couples group, where you may be 12 or so couples. But it's good to have, and we have, older people who've been married longer, and they're pastors. They've been married longer, and we look up to them. This one now, we go and open our hearts. You open your hearts, and they walk with you. They walk with you. Remember, I said when I was married, I never anticipated, when I got married, I never anticipated I'd get married to a pastor.
Yes.
So he was already in ministry. So this girl has to be prepared. So God helped us to have people who, even to date, they walk with us. They walk with us, and that way we are able to talk intimate issues regarding our marriage, because we are not immune.
Yes.
We are just like anybody else. We are able to open up and share our issues openly. The other thing is open communication. Keep those lines open. Hakuna kuficha mambo. You keep the communication line open. And you share things openly as they come. But that builds with time, as Perry said.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I like that. So you've pointed out that definitely having a support structure, be it fellow couples or even an elderly couple who are also serving the same roles that you once did, or rather, you're serving the roles they once did, yeah? So that's very, very crucial in open communication. What about you, Paris? What are some of the things that you do to maintain a strong and healthy relationship with your husband while serving in ministry?
One of the things that we constantly do on a personal level, my husband and I, is open heart communications, like where he shares the pains and the things that he's going through in ministry with me on a personal level. Not just having an assumption that everything is okay. We have very high expectation when we get into marriage, especially if you are marrying a man who, of course, like for me, I knew at some point my husband would become a pastor. There were those characteristics and personality traits that I could see that this one will eventually end up in ministry. And so there's that high expectation as a lady getting into marriage, whereby you assume he's the man of God. Like personally, I had this great assumption. I mean, he's the man of God, and if he's the man of God, he cannot do this. He cannot do this. He can't do this. So, and you get in, there's a rude shock. You just realize the first year, of course, you're nice. And then the second year, the real person really comes out, and you just realize that he's also journeying with the Lord.
Yes.
One thing I have come to accept is that we are journeying with the Lord. I am journeying with the Lord as a person, and my husband is also journeying with the Lord, so that I reduce my expectations.
Yes.
So that when we are relating, when we are putting our minds together,
Yes.
we can see where we can wait on each other, because I am always constantly remembering he's journeying with the Lord. He's not yet there. I'm also not yet there, but we are all co-joining and journeying together.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's really profound. Thank you so much, Paris. What about you, Pauline? What do you do in your marriage to, strengthen,
I came to realize we are unique. And because we get married, we don't lose our uniqueness. And so what has helped us is to allow each other to thrive in our uniqueness. And I'm just saying that so that I don't repeat what everyone else has said.
Yes.
And so you realize there are strengths this other person has that are my weaknesses, and I allow them to thrive in that and build it. And then there are things that I'm strong at. Instead of putting the same expectation to the other person, I rise up to the occasion, so that we come together as partners. You realize they have even background traumas. Now that I've done psychology,
Yes.
you realize even childhoods and families we came from are very different.
Yes.
And so you have to adjust as the time goes by.
Yes.
When things are thick, you also look for help, and you open up what you're feeling. You be very candid, so it helps you to keep going. Yes.
Let's move on to Paris. 1 second. I'll be back with you because there's a question I want you to address. Now that we're talking about, we're investing very heavily in this man and his work in the ministry, and you're supposed to be the supporter. You're supposed to, be lending him a helping hand, making his life easy as he carries on, the vocation, the work of God. Yeah. How do you support your husband and his pastoral needs and role while also taking care of your own needs, Paris?
For example, I have identified my role in supporting him as in the area of administration. So I'm highly administrative. He's not very highly administrative. So that's one way I come in to help him. But at the same time, I don't neglect myself in terms of what else I am best at, or how else I can thrive. And one way I do that is by, for example, I have other relations outside just the relationship of marriage, whereby my friends, I have friends that I can hook up with, spend time with, family members and things like that. And also my work. I think most times when I'm not in ministry or supporting him in ministry stuff, I am highly involved in my work.
Yes.
And also my work is also very involving. So that's one way I am able to balance that.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh wow, you're able to take care of your own needs, which is very admirable, because just like any other marriage, marriage can be very all-consuming. And sometimes, most of the time, people tend to lose themselves within those parameters. So I'm married, so either the man decides he's going to be living for the wife, or the wife decides she's going to be living for that, and you lose yourself there. And I've always found, like, in the process of losing yourself, because you've become so immersed in somebody else's life, that is where sometimes the resentment starts to build. So I'm so happy to hear that you have a way of, I don't want to use the word detaching, but you have a way of self-care. And if your self-care is being at your job, what you do, what you love doing, I think that is very, very admirable. So thank you for that, Paris. You know, speaking of balancing, Pauline, back to you. What are some of the biggest challenges? Because you have mentioned in the intro, you said, you know, you're a counseling psychologist, you're in a company, you've got a number of things that you're doing that perhaps are aside from the ministry. And then, of course, you've got, you know, family and children. I want everybody to actually chip in on this. How do you balance? How do you balance it all?
So for me, when it comes to church, I serve where I am gifted. So I don't just volunteer in everything that the pastor is doing. And so, for instance, in the youth ministry, my husband is a youth pastor. Every time they have a mental health related thing, I'll be there teaching on mental health.
Yes.
Then when their annual camps, I would want to go to the camp so that I'm there for the young, especially the young girls, if they need someone to talk to. So it's very hard for you to find me full-time, side by side with him. I'm very specific on what impact am I bringing, what influence is there. So I don't do it to be seen. I do it to influence. So anything about image, I'm not interested. So I only go there when I have something to do. And then you create time. So I tell them, if you want me to serve on this thing, tell me in good time so that I can study, prepare well, and know which day I am coming. So if they are organizing their schedule, I'm able to be organized. Of course, my day starts at 3 a.m. so that I also get a hold of myself, plan my things, because by 6 a.m. now I'm dealing with everyone else.
No, yes. You've got drop-offs, etc.
So that calls on high discipline on my end. I need to be up to pray, to study, and all that. If I'm doing something else, I also need to be listening to audio stuff in case I'm called here or elsewhere. So I grow along the way. And then time with my children. My friends know from 5 p.m. I might not pick up because that's their time. So I'll spend that time with them. Once they get into bed, then maybe I can pick a call or two, but they know until the following day. Once 5, 6 hits, I don't go visiting and stuff on weekdays. But then Friday, Saturday, we can hang out because tutadil na homework somewhere along the way.
Yes.
So time for kids is time for kids. Time with him in ministry, and time for myself is time for myself. Yeah.
Wow. That's exceptional. I mean, you've learned, I like the way you've actually carved out your day hour to hour, and you know, this is what I'm going to do here, this is what I'm going to do here. Because most of the people most probably are wondering, you know, you've got 4 beautiful children, and I'd also want to hear from you. You've got 4 kids. How are you doing 4 kids? And then there's Pasi, and then there's this. How are you not pulling your hairs out? You know, what do you do? How do you strike that balance?
Yeah, for me, I would want to give a personal example. I resigned from work about 10 years ago when we got our 3rd born. Why did I resign? I resigned because I realized we were cheating on the children. I was working in the church, in the administration, and he's a pastor, okay? So I'm on 8 to 5 routine, and most probably in the evening I'll have to go, if he needs me to go and support him, maybe he has ministry outside. And we had to sit down and review everything. So I had to step back from that active ministry, and we had to scale down on many things for me to be there at least for the children when he is engaging in other things. But talking of supporting him and the balance, it calls for self-awareness. Know your limits. Know where you can support him and where you can agree, this one you can go, this one I'll go with you. Because it's also very, very important. We have seen scenarios where children hated church. Why? Their parents are never there. So they interpreted that church is more important than us. And when those children grew up, when they're young, you can force them to go to church. But at some point, they will speak their mind. And they will tell you, Mommy, Daddy, all that we saw was church. We were nowhere in the picture. You left us with the nanny. You left us with the screens. You bought us everything, but you were never there for us. You can never delegate your presence. You can never, as a parent, as a pastor's wife, you can never delegate your presence to your children. You can never equate it to anything. So work-life balance for a pastor's wife is you have to be deliberate. And then you have to be secure that when I say no, it's okay. It's okay to say no. So long as you've agreed with a pastor, this one you'll carry it on alone. Yes. This one I can accompany you. Yes. You have to be very secure. Say no where you need to say no. Say yes where you have to say yes. But you have to be in agreement with your husband or the pastor.
I like that, say no, because I feel like sometimes the kind of image that we have of pastors' wives is, you cannot say no. Wewe ni bibi ya mchungaji, you cannot say no, you have to be the person. What are other misconceptions that are out here, in regards to, being a pastor's wife? Paris, please take this one.
One major misconception about pastor's wife is they should be serving tables. Like, they should always be serving tea wherever pastors are. I mean, they are called things like Mama Kanisa. I really hate that, especially. It feels like there isn't anything else important that the Lord is using them for. And I feel like pastors' wives are noble women who are vessels of honor. And they are not only, it's okay for them to serve tables, it's okay. But yes, exactly, they are not just good for serving tea. And also, there's a big misconception that pastors' wives should have wigs in their heads, all these, an outward, there's so much emphasis on the outward appearance more than the inward stuff. That yes, and for me, I feel that is more the inward stature is more important than the outward. So if you are not outward, in quotes, you are not. I mean, I'll fit in. Yes, yeah, and I think for me, kwanza hizo zinanifilishanga sana.
What about you? What about you, Pauline? What are some of the things, and we'll come back even to you, Jane, what are some of the misconceptions that people get? In terms of being a pastor's wife? Or actually, better yet, let me ask it this way. Do you feel pressure to fit in a certain mold or expectations in church? Because you're talking about the others that need to have wigs. I didn't even know that was a thing. Here I am, I'm looking at you ladies looking nice and stylish and stuff like that. Do you feel the pressure to fit into a certain mold that maybe the congregants or society has placed on you as pastors' wives?
So I've been a pastor's wife for now, this is the 15th year. So literally. And what I have learned is people will always have an expectation of you. It's up to you to set the pace of how you want them to define you. So earlier, I had so much pressure on how do you dress up, how do you, and it was very depressing, literally very depressing that you have to look. And unfortunately, all the members have different personalities. So when you wear this one thinks it's okay, but this other one thinks this hair's
is good.
So you'll never actually fit your pastor's wife material, hainanga shape, no. So what happens is agree to what God created you to be, and it's very beautiful. So what liberated me was actually a mentor who was like, is this life sustainable? You know, so be you and be who God created you. It's very beautiful. So if I enter a room, people know you'll have to laugh because that's who God actually created me. I love clothes.
I think I'm also stuck in that stereotype. What I would picture, actually, none of you fall in that mold. What I would picture as the pastor's wives growing up, ile skati inafika hapa, kitambaa kwa kichwa. You're proving me wrong. Yeah.
What you do, just let people see the real you with a lot of respect and kindness. And if they raise you higher, just let them know who you are.
Wow, wow. Quickly before we head out, because we need to take our break, I just want to cover this one. What is the most, we've talked about the challenges, what is the most rewarding aspect of being a pastor's wife? And then after that, we're going to take our break. Yes, Jane.
Yeah, maybe before I answer that, Ashiko,
Yes.
I fell into the trap of trying to fit into people's expectations when I was young in marriage as a pastor's wife. And I wanted the service to end. I go and be real. I go be me.
Yes.
It is suffocating.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's good to be real, and then you cannot fit in everybody's expectations. You can never. Today you please this one, tomorrow you're not pleasing them because you wore a different dress and a different wig and a different shoe. You know, so you please this one, you don't. So be yourself, be real, serve in your giftings, and don't pretend. Don't be a hypocrite. Serve in your giftings, and that way you flow and you're happy.
So what is our final question of the session is, what is the most rewarding? Just give me,
Yes.
like, what is the most rewarding aspect of being a pastor's wife?
I think for me, it's being the first recipient of seeing the fruit, okay, of your service. For example, maybe you know you've prayed with some people, and God answers the prayers. Mostly, the first person they will communicate to is the pastor. You know, you receive that message. God opened that door.
Yes.
We are expecting.
Oh, wow.
It is so rewarding just to be the first recipient of what God is doing in people's lives.
Yes.
That is very fulfilling.
Oh, wow. Oh, thank you so much. I've gotten goose pimples from that one because I just pictured how good it would be to be the first recipient of good news. So I really hope that you're also receiving good news wherever you are and you're enjoying this episode. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you've missed quite an informative first session, but fear not, because all the episodes of Dada's show can be found on YouTube and the KBC Channel 1 page. So remember to like, remember to follow, and if you can also reach us on KBC Channel 1 on Facebook, and you can also reach me personally at Ashiko, the host, if you'd actually want more information about this show and the people who have actually been featured. So now we are at the question and answer session, which is my favorite part of the show, which gives my wonderful audience an opportunity to interact with our panelists, maybe give them, you know, feedback, a question, positive reinforcement, criticism at times, in regards to today's conversation. So to start us off, we have Monica. Monica, karibu sana.
My question goes to Jen. I'd wish to understand how you deal with the feelings of isolation and loneliness. When I say this, I mean in issues or cases where the transfers and maybe the pastor or your husband has to go somewhere, or both of you, you have kids who go to school and so many other issues. How do you deal with these new people, new congregants and churches? How do you deal with this kind of feelings and loneliness?
Good question, Jane.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I want to give my own personal example. We're actually in transition, where we are transitioning from one church to another. So the question of isolation, I have experienced it firsthand. But how have I handled that? It can get lonely when you get to a new environment where you don't know people. You don't have friends. Your children don't have friends. It can get lonely, and it needs to be handled very carefully. How have we gone about it? I want to start by saying, for myself, love people. Genuinely just love people. Okay? Number two, be real. And I've learned that people will embrace you as when you're not pretending, you're not trying to copy or be somebody else. People will embrace the real you. So I have strived to be me, not to pretend. I have prayed to God to bring people around us who will embrace us and that will start building new relationships. It's not easy, it takes time. But be real, love people genuinely, and people will embrace you. Attend fellowships, attend those groups. And in that way, you get to know people, they get to know you. Your children get to interact with other children. And you'll be amazed at how children adjust so fast. Yes. We are actually shocked at how our children have adjusted so fast. I think they have more intimate friends than we have. You know, so children adjust very fast. But even you, as you're real and you love people genuinely, it's amazing how God will just bond you with people who will also love you genuinely. And that has been our experience. Talking of transfers, I have seen churches where pastors are transferred very far. Maybe you have to travel like a day's journey to go to where you're living now and where you've been transferred. What have I seen pastors do? You're transferred this year, 2025, and before you settle, you're transferred again to another location. How do you handle that? This is what I've seen pastors do. Find a place where your family can settle. Settle your family, settle your children in school, okay? Depending on maybe where maybe your wife is working, okay, and where you've been transferred. Who is lighter? Who can be, you know, going and coming back maybe over the weekend? Is it you or is it, okay? Then is it, how does it play for the children? At what age are your children? At what levels are they in their education? All those dynamics, you discuss them as a family.
Thank you so much. Monica, I hope your question has been answered. So our next question is from Cecilia. Cecilia, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Ashiko. And thank you so much, pastors' wives, for coming to discuss this very informative discussion. My question goes to Paris. Paris, what advice would you give to a lady who is about to get married to a pastor? Thank you.
One of the things that I would really encourage is let them acquire wisdom. Let them acquire wisdom. And how do they achieve that? By walking or allowing themselves to sit under a woman who has also been a pastor's wife. Actually, that really helps a lot, and she should allow herself to be mentored. One of the greatest risks I'm seeing with the today woman is a woman who has refused to be mentored. And we're seeing a lot of scenarios, people are not even staying in marriage, and generally that's the main, because the responsibility that goes with the life of a pastor is huge, and you really need to, there's a level of preparation that needs to come into your life. So that acquiring wisdom, acquiring knowledge, and understanding in that level is required, yes.
Oh, wow. I like that, mentorship, you know, it's important. I mean, how else will you even know? You know, unless you're with someone who has already walked the walk before you. Thank you so much. And finally, we've got our question from Kizito.
Thank you, Madam Ashiko. I'm humbled to be part of this wonderful occasion. I have been a teacher for the last 36 years. I have been an assistant class assistant teacher. I've been a deputy principal. I've been a principal. My experience is that in most cases, pastors' children fall into a lot of truancy, and some even end up getting into drunkenness. Some of them. I normally feel there's a problem somewhere. Maybe my question goes to Madam Cecilia. How do you go about that, and why is it? How can you curb that problem, whereby pastors' children end up into being very not doing so many good things in society? Thank you so much.
Is there an explanation or a science behind how this happens?
Yeah, you know, a pastor teaches the highest morality. And the question is, do they live by that morality level in their home? So these are kids who are always questioning what is being said on the pulpit and what is playing at home. Secondly, when you're called by God, it means you're so disciplined and you're so gifted that you're able to manage your own house. And as a result, you're added more responsibilities to manage other people and and church. So what happens is the role switch. You start now managing the church as a pastor's wife and as a pastor, and you forget to manage your own home. And actually, biblically, you should be disqualified. There's even a standard of your children must be disciplined if you're going to serve the congregation. So the morality issue, double life. Number two, you're managing the church instead of managing your own home. So you need to be hands-on. And you need to be so disciplined as a pastor in terms of there's ministry and also there's time for family. Otherwise, an absentee parent is an absentee parent, whether a pastor or a drunkard. The results are the same. Yes.
I like that a lot. You know, in terms of disciplining, do you discipline according to being a father, according to being a human being, or do you discipline according to being a pastor? Are you going as per, I'm trying to find the words, logic, or are you going as per the Bible?
Do I go for that? Yes. You see, pastors and pastors' wives, we know that God never disciplines us in wrath. He's slow to anger and abounding in love. And for a pastor and our pastor's wives, the standard is higher because you're supposed to be demonstrating God to these children. So when you tell them God is Father, and you, as a father, you are full of wrath, they tend to see that God the same way. So you have to be slow to anger. You have to study. If you have trauma issues, actually as a pastor or a pastor's wife, you even need to go for counseling. You need to go for parenting courses where you are trained. Others will have bitter children. So there is room for discipline, but it has to be sufficient for the crime. Like don't overpunish. Ati now nimekukuta na simu, so I take the phone for a whole year. That is overdoing it. We have to be moderate and we have to be slow to anger. And sometimes when you know you can't handle it, give it to someone else who is sane. But you must deal with your issues and your traumas. Actually, you'll be judged by God more than even your congregants. And so truancy and stuff, it's just, where have you been? Are you available? Are you intentional? Do you listen? At the age where my kids are, they come at home and they want to talk about who bullied them. I have to create that time. Yeah.
I want to give an opportunity to our wonderful panel to give us a parting shot, and then we can call it an episode. So I'll start off with you, Jane.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my parting shot, touching on disciplining our children as pastors, families. What is the objective of the discipline? Why are you disciplining that child? Are you disciplining that child to protect your image as a pastor? Because you don't want this child to behave this way, they will ruin your image. Why are you doing it? We should discipline with an aim to build, not to protect our image, you know, or to cover up. Discipline with the intention to build this child. Then the other thing, somebody said this, that the home is a greenhouse of discipleship, the home. It all begins at home. I don't expect to behave this way at home, and I expect a different result maybe from my children outside there. They may behave this way at home to please me, but that is pretense. That child will be real when they go out there. And most of the times you will not like the results. So home, let's model at home what we want to see in our children and what we want to see out there. Let's model it at home.
Wow, thank you so much, Jane. What about you, Paris? What's your parting shot for the day?
My parting shot for the day is concerning the pastors' wives, is that pastors' wives are more than women who serve at the tables, and they are noble women. That's how I look at them when I look at the scriptures, and they are vessels of honor. And even though a pastor's wife may look weak, she may not look like it, because most of the time they are undermined. And so I would really want to pass a word out there and say that we should really give a lot of honor. There should be, I see there is no balance between how people honor the men of God and the pastor's wife. So most of the time the pastors are honored more than the pastor's wives, because there is a thinking that the pastor is better, is good, because most of the time he's the one projected before the people. But I want to say, do not undermine the pastor's wife. There is so much that is hidden in them that is needed in a church. Actually, the pastor's wife represents the mothering spirit in a church. So they are noble, they are graced, and they are chosen. Most of them did not even want to be pastors' wives, so God chose them, and therefore that brings them to that place where we sing they are vessels of honor. Yeah.
Wonderful. Remember, it's not just a title, it's a calling on its own. So asante sana, Paris, for that. And finally, Pauline, what is your parting shot?
I want to encourage pastors' wives. I want to tell them, grow yourself. Every day be better than you were yesterday. Read. Take care of yourself. If you can go for that massage, go make your nails. Call someone to stick with your kids and just go and breathe. Jipeleke tu hoteli ujinunulie chakula na pesa yako, and go to school. Go to school. Don't just stick with the label. What else are you? Because you are an individual. And at the end of the day, we will all stand before God alone. So it's good to support, but grow. Let people see every day there's something new, something beautiful about you, and you have a joyful spirit. One of the things we are accused of is having a tunakuanga na hasira. Tumebonda. So just be joyful. Once you take care of your inner man with the Lord and just pampering yourself, then you'll have something to give to others. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. So we have come to the end of this very informative episode of Dada's show. Remember, you can always get in touch with us on our Facebook page at Dadas KBC. You can also reach me on my social media platforms at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. So on behalf of the production team at KBC, our location partner, the newly refurbished Manzoni 680 Hotel, and myself, Ashiko Mbune, I wish you all a lovely week, and I will catch you same time next time. But for now, goodbye.